If I had known what that ride meant, I might have ended my shift early. It was just after midnight in Chicago, the kind of night where the streets shine like mirrors and the city feels half asleep. A light rain tapped against my windshield. No traffic, no noise. Just me, the engine hum, and the night doing what it always does. After midnight, you see things most people never will. The city strips away its daytime mask, and what is left is raw, quiet, and sometimes a little unsettling. The stories aren't always in the loud, chaotic moments. Most of the time, they're in the silence. They're in the spaces between streetlights, in the eyes you'd catch in the rearview mirror for just a second too long. That's where the real Chicago lives after the sun goes down. The request came from a quiet residential block. No bars, no train stations. Just houses with their lights off. This was unusual. My usual late-night fares are from downtown clubs or the airport. A pickup in a sleeping suburb felt different, out of place. I pulled up to the pin. Engine idling, the rain making soft, rhythmic sounds on the roof. I waited. A minute passed, then another. Just as I was about to consider canceling, a man stepped out from between two parked cars. He moved quickly, a shadow detaching itself from other shadows. He was in his late 30s, hoodie pulled tight, his face mostly obscured. His eyes scanned the street before he opened the back door. He sat behind me, but not directly. Slightly off to the side, just out of my direct line of sight in the mirror. "Just don't drop me right in front of the house," he said. His voice was calm, but his hands weren't. They were clasped tightly in his lap, knuckles white. The request wasn't strange on its own. People ask that all the time, but coming from him in this dead quiet street, it felt heavy. It felt like the beginning of a sentence he wasn't going to finish. We drove for a few minutes in silence. The GPS showed a direct route, only about 10 minutes away. The silence wasn't comfortable. It was thick with unspoken questions. Every time we slowed down for a stop sign or a red light, he leaned forward slightly, like he was counting houses, marking landmarks in his mind. He kept checking his phone, but the screen was dimmed so low I couldn't see what was on it. No notifications pinged. No calls came through. It was just a dark rectangle he stared into, a portal to whatever was waiting for him at the end of this ride. Then he spoke again, his voice still quiet, but with a new edge to it. "Can you take the long way?" I glanced at the navigation. The long way would add another 15 minutes, winding through unfamiliar side streets. I asked him why. He didn't answer directly, just nodded toward the windshield, and kept watching the mirrors. That's when the small red flags started adding up. The request to take a longer route, the constant, furtive glances into the side and rear-view mirrors, the way he avoided eye contact, the way he positioned himself in the car. It wasn't the behavior of someone running from the law. It was something else, something more personal. The city lights slid across the interior, painting his face in stripes of neon and shadow. I rerouted the GPS, and the silence returned, heavier than before. We were just two strangers in a car, driving through the rain, but it felt like we were accomplices in an escape he couldn't explain. About a block from his destination, he asked me to stop. "Here's fine," he said. I pulled over. It was the darkest part of the street. A large oak tree blocked the nearest street light, casting a deep, imposing shadow over the sidewalk. No porch lights were on. No movement flickered behind the windows. It was as if the whole block was holding its breath. Before getting out, he paused, his hand on the door handle. He let out a slow breath, the kind you hold in for too long. "Sometimes," he said, looking at the dark house down the street, "home doesn't feel safe, even when nothing's technically wrong." He turned and looked at me for the first time, a quick glance in the mirror. He smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. Not relieved. Just tired. Utterly exhausted. In that one look, the whole story clicked into place. He wasn't running from a crime. He wasn't being followed. He was just a man trying to delay the inevitable. He was avoiding a conversation he didn't want to have, a decision he wasn't ready to make, a feeling he couldn't face. This short drive, this extra 15 minutes, was his sanctuary. It was his last moment of peace before walking into an emotional storm. The escape he needed wasn't physical, it was emotional, and my car, for a brief time, was his shelter. I watched him walk the rest of the way. He didn't run. Ehust walked, his shoulder slightly hunched against more than just the rain. He didn't look back. The darkness under the oak tree swallowed him, and then he was gone. I sat there longer than I needed to, the engine humming, the rain still tapping on the glass. The ride was over, but the feeling lingered, because sometimes the hardest place to arrive isn't a bad neighborhood or a dangerous alley. It's home. It's the place where the unspoken words hang in the air, where the emotional weight is too much to carry through the door. The night always has a price. Sometimes it's just a fare on a screen. But that night, the price was understanding something I wasn't ready for. The silent battles people fight are often the fiercest. I put the car in drive and pulled away, leaving the quiet street behind me. The empty seat in my rearview mirror feeling heavier than it had with him in it. Thanks for watching. If you have a story from the night, share it below. And don't forget to subscribe for more rides.